So, shall I just jump in?
By all means, go for it.
Okay. Hi, I'm Rena Dutt, and I'm directing Red Oleanders. So I just wanted to briefly tell you just a little bit about myself and my background and what we're planning to do with this particular production, but I'm very interested in what your questions are. So I'll probably be very brief about my goals artistically and creatively with everybody at UC Riverside. But then I would love for you to ask any questions that you have. And please feel completely comfortable to ask all the questions that you have, because I would like to know what concerns there are, what interests there are, the whole gamut, because we're in this together. It's a creative endeavor. Everybody involved in the production is going to be important to me. So I want to know, what your thoughts are. But yeah, a little bit about I come from an acting background. I studied in New York, and I did a lot of theater when I was there. And then I came to LA to pursue more television. And in that process, I became very engaged in stories for and by people that look like me or are in the same ballpark. This didn't mean to exclude people who didn't look like me, but it meant to include more people who did. So with that, I started writing my own content. I started writing web series content, short films, and I would produce them and act in them and all of that. And, I realized who my allies were across communities. And we started producing for each other and creating stories that we were all engaged with. So from there, I produced for many years, and now I'm a director because I have a very, very particular vision that I'd like to engage my community with. I really believe in collaboration. I think it's incredibly important to validate each other, elevate each other, amplify each other. If people have an idea in the space and in the room during a rehearsal process, it's invaluable to explore it if we have time and if it makes sense and is cohesive with the story we're telling. So for me, my designers are very important in the room. I always have an open door policy when I'm allowed to have designers in the space to see what the actors are doing, because I think the actors feed them and vice versa. So I really try to have as much of an open door policy as I can with the entire team and with faculty if they're interested in that. So that's kind of how I approach the work in the space. I'll have general ideas of how I want to block something, but I'm open. Everything changes based on what bodies are in the space and what ideas come to fruition in the rehearsal room. So I really want to be malleable with the kind of work that we do together. This particular story, I'm just really thrilled about it. I've never directed a South Asian classic before. This is the first time. And I am so honored that I get to do this, because who else is going to ask anybody to direct something like this? It's just really exciting. It's the first time that I'm seeing a major institution take interest in this particular story. So for me, it's very, I get emotional. What can I say? So with that, I want to make this story, like, although it's from my family's culture, I want this to be a universal story. I was born in New Jersey. I was raised in North Carolina and Arizona. I grew up on Led Zeppelin. I'm, about as much of a melting pot of a person, jambalaya, whatever you'd like to call it, as it can get, as a first generation American. So for me, my community is very inclusive of everybody that I grew up with in North Carolina and Arizona, and the work that I do here in Los Angeles and New York. We all come from completely different backgrounds, and to bring us all together and get to collaborate on something that's this special to me is exciting. So for me, it's very much about a sharing. It's very much about inclusion, about sharing. If there's something cultural that's in the text that someone doesn't understand, that's an exciting thing to talk about. It's an exciting thing to explore. I have a feeling we're all going to be learning things at the same time together. So that's also very exciting for me, because I am first generation American. I don't know everything there is to know about South Asian culture. But the exciting thing about this play is it's a magical world. So we get to have this crazy, magical place. It's a playground that we've created. Our scenic designer, I'll show you an image of what the potential set looks like. and some of the potential costumes that we're still working on. But we've created a space that that can go anywhere. So it's not we're not looking for a culturally specific production for this. What I'm looking for is a magical world, which includes some magical realism, a little bit of movement, however that manifests in the rehearsal process, to create, something fun and exciting that's new for what a lot of our audiences will have seen. So I just want to stress that because I want to include as many people as I possibly can in this production to really represent our community together. That's very important to me. And that's that's inclusive of all cultures, all bodies, all however you identify yourself as in your gender. I want everyone to be included, and I want that to actually affect. I have a feeling that casting is very much going to affect who the people are, because we don't need that specificity for any of these characters. It's not necessary. How do we build the world we live in using this as a backdrop? That's what's exciting to me. So I think I'll just show you a couple pictures of what the set might look like, and then and also a little bit of the costume stuff. So let me find my little thingy here. Are you able to see that? I'm not sure if you can see this. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is what we're hoping the set will look like. We still have a lot of discussion that's coming up in this week to finalize. But as you can see, it has a hint of South Asia, but it's not meant to be South Asia. It's meant to be this magical world that deals with miners. And so a lot of the stories about mining for gold. And so we have a king that's come in, and there are leaders, there's leadership in this community that has taken villagers and miners from other communities to come to theirs to mine for gold and create wealth. In this process, people have lost touch with what makes them happy. So for me, this theme of happiness and what is necessary in life, which I don't think is gold or material objects. I think there's a lot of joy in performance and in art, and in in our story, there's a lot of music that a couple of our characters write music and they sing, but we're not looking for singers. We're looking for people who love doing it, right? So these are two different things. But we're, this is kind of the world that we're building. There's going to be some dirt stuff in the middle, and that's kind of like the mining area, and then the palace that the king lives in. And I say king for now, but it could be a queen. It could be just a leader. So this is all very subject to auditions. Our costume design, we're going to be integrating a lot of South Asian fabric, but we're going to also create a contemporary adaptation of what these costumes are in this magical world. So our main character, she's a little bit of a flower child from the 70s, because that idea of freedom of love and joy and living for happiness, that idea is incredibly relevant for Nandini. And then there's this character, Chandra, and she's going to be a little bit more traditional, but I want her to be a little bit, integrating with what we see today in India, which is jeans and kurtis and a lot of fun stuff like that. And then here's one more touch of costume design. For the leadership of the community, we're using a traditional version of the costume, but then we're also manipulating it so that each generation becomes a little bit more manipulated in their look and feel. But this, I hope, gives you like a sense of what I'm going for with this particular show, because there's hints of culture, but I want it to be a real, let's see what comes to the table with everything that I'm trying to create here. So yeah, that's a little bit about what I'm going for with this show. And I just want to open up to questions, because I want to know what you're thinking and what your questions are, as well as for auditions, because I know that you can do monologues up the wazoo. But yeah, does anyone have questions?
I think Liliana has her hand raised.
Oh, cool.
I do. Sorry, I wasn't sure if I was just supposed to unmute. Yeah, so thank you so much, by the way, for being here and giving us this opportunity. I really do appreciate it. It was really cool to see like the behind the scenes before the behind the scenes, if that makes sense. So really, like, this is amazing. I do have a question. I know you were touching on earlier the idea of this is a magical place and we're hinting towards Southeast Asia, but it's not going to be set there. And you're open to, I think you said all genders, right? And gender fluidity, that sort of thing. Is that also with the characters themselves? Like if they are male identifying, you want to cast them in male identifying roles, or any of the roles can be gender fluid? For example, the king, right? Could you potentially make that a queen?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
I'm looking for mostly the energies that match the character and what their journey is, because every character in this story lovingly has an arc. And so I kind of want to see what people bring to the table, because it's more about energy than anything else for me, particularly with this show, because it can go in so many different directions. And the only thing it changes is subtext. And since it's a translation, we have that advantage that we can shift genders if we do, and if we'd like to, you know. So please know that I want
Thank
everyone.
you. That is definitely opening my eyes more to like the possibilities that are out there. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I have a secondary question with that, with auditions.
Mhm.
Is it in any way frowned upon to not bring a prepared monologue and choose a side instead? Just because I did see that was posted.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay.
What I'm looking for is if you're bringing in a classical audition or a classical monologue, that I want to see how you authentically present it, right? Because it's more, I don't want to say realism, but the use of language, like how do you own the language? Because, you know, Shakespeare, we can end up being very presentational, or there's like a way to really understand it and put it in your heart and then speak it like it's your own language, right? So that's what I'm looking for. If you have a monologue that lends to that, great. If you don't, when you look at sides, please think about that as you look at sides.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any questions?
Yes, I would like to ask one. Because I like saying like there's always like interpretations of the meanings of like shows and everything. What would you say like your like interpretation of what the play is trying to have as its meaning?
Yeah, my thought on that is my interpretation, that's, you know, it's hard to boil it down because it's really about joy. For me, it's so much of it is about joy. A lot of times we are pounding, and I love this play because I think about how we constantly pound the pavement, right? Especially as artists, and when you're in school or after you're out of school, you continue to pound the pavement. If that's in your heart, that's what you do. A lot of times we forget what actually brings us joy. And so in our story, we have one character who's really living for today and really living for joy, really living for happiness. And the other characters are kind of fearful of that. And so they alienate her. She becomes very alienated. And forgive me, I keep saying she just because that's how it's written right now. But yeah, so I just really want to, you know, drive it home. What are we passionate about? What keeps us living? What keeps us wanting to move forward and help others? This story also deals with materialism, and we're constantly looking at paychecks. We're constantly looking at how much money is in our bank accounts. But that's not all there is to life. And so how do we find that?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Beautiful. And Rena, I'm going to read Elizabeth's question to you. I'm in class right now, so sorry about not being able to talk, but I had a question as someone who is not of South Asian background. Is it okay for me to portray a character of that ethnicity?
In this magical world, they may have South Asian names, but they don't need to be South Asian, right? So so that's something else I'm pretty excited about, because I want everybody from every community to come and read this play and audition for us. This is really important to me, because it's a sharing, right? This isn't about cultural appropriation. It's not about trying to represent a community that you're not. It's about telling a story that's in our hearts, and it's in everybody's heart. It's not about being South Asian. It's very much about life and what's important in life. Thank you for asking that, by the way.
And to your point, it'd be like, I don't know, take any classic fairy tale, Snow White or Cinderella. I mean, you don't have to be German to play Snow White. I don't know. What was that Danish? I don't know which one's Hans. I don't know what is Hans, right? I don't, or whatever. But that's the idea, right? It's just that, and that's what I love about this play. And what we're trying to do is like shake up our idea of what is classic, and but without the cultural appropriation and with the cultural celebration.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that beauty of, how do we come together as a community to tell the story that really speaks to all of our hearts right now. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank
Does
you.
anybody else have any questions? Sandra, welcome. You may have some questions.
Oh, those were all great questions. My main question was how much of what you shared, the design, the costume design and the scenic design are we free to share on social media?
Those images are okay to share, I believe right now, but we'll get a confirmation. We'll get a confirmation before anything's pushed out.
Yeah.
And we'll have a new video hopefully tonight or tomorrow. So that'll be worth waiting for, Sandra, because I think once, and your hand up, I think as soon as you hear like the music and you see thinking, which is super, I mean, it's exciting. So
That's great. Thank you. Wait, and I'll let Melanie know so that she's with.
Hi. So this might be like a weird question, but I just want to say first off, thank you for doing this meet and greet. But it's been a while since I've done any sort of stage acting. Like the last time I did it was in high school, and I just saw the email and I was like, oh wow, I've been wanting to do that again. So I just thought I'd give it a shot. But I don't know what are sides. I'm sorry if that's a bad question, but I just haven't heard that before. So
No bad questions. Absolutely no bad questions. Sides are just part of the script that we give you so that you have something to read directly from the story.
Oh, okay, cool. Thank you.
No
All
worries.
right. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy to be here.
Leslie.
Really happy to be here and see everyone. But my question is, in terms of like monologue for the audition, is there a specific like emotion you want out of it, whether it's like positive or like a more dramatic piece, or in terms of tone?
That's a good question. So the play is very much, it's got a lot of drama in it, but there's also a lot of natural comedy. So it's not straight up comedy, if that makes sense. It's not slapstick. It's not something like that. But I would, this is the best advice that I was ever given when I was acting in terms of like monologues, especially for an audition like this, where you might just have a couple monologues in your back pocket. Use a monologue that you personally feel the most connected to and go with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. And I say that also because I should include this. At auditions, sometimes if you have a monologue, if it's like a 1 or 2 minute monologue, I'll give you an adjustment that makes absolutely no sense, just to see how you play, So even if it's not the right tone, I might give you a note that just to see how much you can stretch in what directions, and if you're able to look at the text in a different way after rehearsing it for so many times before an audition, Yeah, so don't worry about what the monologue is exactly.
Courtney, I'm guessing you probably could imagine some questions some students may have, because some I know there's so much stuff going on this week because it's week 10. So folks that are joining in later, what are some questions you might think they might ask?
I know I've been trying to think of those. I've been racking my brain. Honestly, this play was such a fun read, and I'm very excited to have the opportunity to put something of this grandeur on. And so I think one of the big aspects of this show that we touched on is the concept of artistry and what it means to present that. And so will there be a lot of movement? Are we stretching beforehand? Are we going to be like, for the audition's sake, are we going to be breaking out our best dance moves? Are we going to like just walk like an elegant princess? Like, what are you looking for in terms of like movement and artistry in those realms?
Thank you. That's a great question. So I tend to enjoy using trends that are beautiful to watch, so that the movement is choreographed in some capacity, but it's not choreography. We're not looking for dancers here. But what we are looking for are people who are, one thing I admire about some British training is that you use your entire body to perform, right? So if you're picking up a cup, it's not just your hand reaching to pick up a cup, but it's really like, why are you picking up that cup? And can we see that in your knees? So, so with that, we'll be molding and shaping the transitions. I'm not a hater, but I'm a hater for for transitions that are meaningless. So I want to see how the character grows or changes within those transitions, and that's partially movement based.
And I have some exciting news that I'll share with Rena, because we've been looking for a movement director, and I won't say yet because I want to like share with you, but I just got a big yes from somebody. I was really like had all appendages crossed that they're coming in, and they just said yes. So you and I will talk about that later. And it's a really neat UCR connection as well. So I'm really excited. So that are specifically movement based, and this person is doing a lot of dance films and things like that. It really knows how, Rena, what you were looking for is like storytelling through the body.
Yeah.
And so that's, yes, this person's very good at that. So
Yay.
once we have a chance to chat and firm up, and they're able to be at callbacks on Saturday morning as well.
Oh,
so.
great. Yay.
I know, about
Perfect.
Sure. Well, Courtney, you want to remind us of like what auditions are, what the rehearsal times are, all that kind of stuff, as long as we got folks.
Sure, absolutely. I apologize. I'm also at work, so if I'm scattered, it's good. But so we would advise you to come in about 10-15 minutes before your scheduled audition time. Even earlier is even better, but I digress. Please make sure to email your headshot and your audition form ahead of time. I will be following up asking you if you will be auditioning with a monologue or if you would like a side at the audition to be reading off of. Either is perfectly fine. We are willing and accommodating for both. You'll check in with our two lovely ASMs who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but you will be meeting those faces on Friday. And then we will take you into the audition room where you will perform your monologue. It'll probably be about a 5-minute slot, hopefully if everything's running on time. And then at the end of the night, you will be getting an email saying whether or not you are called back for the next day. And callbacks will run from about, I think, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, that following day. And by the end of the day, you will have received a phone call with an offer for a specific role or an email saying, thank you so much for your time. The whole process is very non-threatening from my position. I think that we're all very friendly faces. We just want to see you put on your best work and are very excited and are in your corner and rooting for you. And we would like to have you be a part of our wonderful little team here. Any questions, comments, concerns? Yeah.
Courtney, I have my answer about the monologue or sides thing.
Okay.
I'll do sides. That sounds like fun.
Incredible.
Something fresh off the bat for me, because I'll never see it before. That sounds like a blast.
And I think we'll have those, I think we can have those at the check-in table. And so before you can come in, you can look over them once or twice before you walk in. Yeah.
I do have a question for Miss Dutz, or how do you say it? I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries. Dutz.
Dutz, okay. I do have a question. Are you planning on casting a figure, like a person figure thing? I don't know exactly what you call it, for Ranjan?
For Ranjan, it might be, we have a couple actors who will be playing multiple roles. So one of those actors might end up being that figure.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you so much.
Yep.
And on that note, I believe we're looking for a total cast of 12.
Excellent. Well, if there aren't any other questions, Rena, anything you want to leave us with as we're saying goodnight? Oh, wait, Leslie has a question. Yay.
Oh.
Yeah, I just remembered. So when I put in for the audition form, I didn't see like because usually I don't know if there was like a Google Drive that had like character names or such, but I didn't see that. But it information on that. That's cool. I can have it at the meeting. Be very awesome. Thank you. That yeah, I forgot about that.
I can jump in and answer that one. So it's not going to be on the audition form itself, but it is on the UCR website when you're getting all of the information about the auditions themselves. I think there's all the character names and then a little blurb about them. And there's going to be more than 12 characters, but like Rena was saying, we'll probably cast someone to play multiple characters. And Kimberly has linked it in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You bet.
Do we need to have like a prior thought of like who we want to audition for, or is it like we can just have like a general like, hey, I'm just here. Anything that you think works best for me?
Well, if there's something that you're resonating with, I think let us know.
Mhm.
Write it on the info sheet if there's a spot for that. And if there's not, just let us know at the audition.
Alrighty.
Yeah, and again, I want to stress, it's an energy thing, right?
Mhm.
So when you come in, just if you have something you're excited about, great. But just know that we're matching up energy with the character.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed. I was like, every time I'll look at one character and I'm like, that sounds awesome, but it's never really right for me, or at least that's what it seems like. Yeah.
Yeah, the fun thing about these auditions is everyone's a choice, right? Everyone's a different choice. No one's better or worse than the other person next to you. And the goal is to amplify each other, especially at a callback when you're auditioning with other actors. The goal is to make the other person look amazing. So just remember that we're all here to uplift each other. And auditions, the funny thing is nobody, not one casting director on earth wants you not to be right. There is not one single casting person out there who thinks, I don't want them to get this. Literally everybody in the room is rooting for you because they want you to be perfect for the role. And a lot of times they end up with 3 perfect people for the role and they have to pick, and it's heartbreaking. So please know that when you come in, you're just here to play. You're just here to play and do your best work.
I'll back you up on that because I've been in, now this is being artistic director, I've been in the room every time with every character. It's just like, we just have an embarrassment of riches and we just like don't know. So to that point, Ryan, Liliana, it's great to have you in the room because you've been in those places where we're like, we just love seeing you come in the room. It's so great. August, you have a question?
Hi, yes. So I was just like reviewing the like page, and what exactly does it mean when it says cast members will be enrolled in 4 units of the class in the winter quarter? Just some clarification, because I just don't know. I haven't done this before, so.
You are asking all the right questions. Courtney, you want to jump in on that or do you want me to?
I mean, I can. I feel like you have a better grasp on it though.
Well, so you're going to be enrolled in 4 units. It's just like taking a class, basically. And Rena will actually be your technically your professor in that class, or the lecturer, the person that will give you the grade. And it's basically it's a lot of rehearsals and things like that, and you will get 4 units of 170.
So it's just like an
credits
automatic
for that.
like enrollment kind of thing if I am included in the production.
Exactly. Courtney, you want to piggyback off that?
Yes, absolutely. So I don't know if you are a TFDP major or is maybe a different major outside, but specifically for theater majors, we need a certain amount of production units to graduate. And so that would basically just provide those units to increase your strides towards graduation. But outside of the scope of theater majors, those also count as like arts and production credits. So it would still like check a box on your degree audit and get you one step closer to graduation. It's basically a class.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm not a theater major, but I just loved it a lot in high school, so I just wanted to kind of come back to it. So, but yeah, thank you so much for answering.
Oh, beware, August. We'll draw you to the dark side. Back to the dark side, which is really the light side. Let's do this.
Yeah, it is.
Every student that I've worked with that hasn't been a TFDP major that has gotten cast into production has I think, to my knowledge, either declared the new major or a minor in theater. The 3 actors that I've worked with that I can think off the top of my head.
That's good to know. I'll keep my eye out for that.
Am I allowed to ask August what your major is?
Yeah, I'm currently media and cultural studies, but I'm thinking about just switching to economics, but still staying like within chess. But yeah, I just but my even though like that's what I'm going for as my degree, I would say that my passion and goal in life has definitely been like acting and like just production in general. I just love it a lot. So I'm super happy to come back.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that. And one of the reasons I'm asking you is kind of a general, also, we all come from different walks of life. You know, once you get into the working acting world, there are a lot of people who come from completely different backgrounds, completely different majors. And the joy of that is that they are able to bring new information to the table that people within the theater community didn't get to have. So we all feed each other. So I want everyone who's like in this room and everyone who comes into the space for auditions to know it doesn't matter where you're coming from or why. I was an international finance major when I started college. So, and now here I am. But all these life experiences feed us for what we're doing in terms of telling stories.
Absolutely. And yeah, if there are any after we, you know, if folks watch this afterward, everyone is welcome to this. This is, you know, open to all majors, and we're teasing about dry. I mean, if you want to come, but we're also very practical here at TFDP. We know you need a job. We don't believe in the starving artist. You just can't do that anymore. So I love, August, that you're doing it, thinking about it in economics, because that's going to be a good, solid, you know, that's going to deliver you a paycheck, and you can always pursue your art as well. And, you know, I'm actually teaching a class right now called The Business of Acting. And, you know, it's something that we all have to, I think we all need our financial sovereignty as artists. And that's, you know, that's something that we also kind of promote here at TFDP. So I'm teasing a little bit when I say I'm going to pull you to the dark side.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not. I will win you over.
The dark side is fun. Any other questions? Is this where we awkwardly stare at the screen and it looks like people are staring at each other, but they're not?
I was just going to thank you once again for your time, Rena. It has been absolutely great.
Absolutely. I'm so glad this was able to happen. So thank you all for being here and asking such great questions.
We'll see everybody at auditions.
Bye, everybody. Good luck.
Please remember to send your audition headshots and forms to CPOBS. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Oh, wait, that way.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.